Good evening, all.
Good evening,
Good
sir.
evening, Doctor. Yeah, good evening, Biju sir.
Good evening,
Good evening,
Dr.
Miss Deepa. Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. I think we can start. Biju sir, are you ready? Let's introduce our moderator.
Ms. Deepa DS is a passionate educator with a rich experience spanning 15 years in the field of education. She started her career as a teacher and has worked as a coordinator and teacher trainer in CBSE schools. Many successful teachers are very fortunate to be trained by her. She has also served as the president of an NGO in Bangalore and contributed her time and efforts to the academics of underprivileged children and personality development of youngsters. Her passion is to be a lifelong learner and share her learnings with fellow educators. Hearty welcome, Ms. Deepa. Please proceed. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction today. And it's my honor to be a part of this wonderful program. I thank Abdul Salam sir and Biju sir and this platform for giving me this opportunity. Am I audible?
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah.
Thank you. So let's kickstart this session with the introduction for today. So good evening, everybody. Welcome to Extra Mile Education and Training. Hope you all are ready to dive into some educational offerings today. A big shout out to Dr. Abdul Salam and the Extra Mile crew for setting up this platform and giving me the chance to be with all of you awesome educators. So we've got Dr. Swaroop with us today, and he will crack open the vault of success strategies that can be used by teachers and educators with Lean Six Sigma and quality tools. It's like being handed over a treasure map to several common concerns of educators, isn't it? So buckle up and get ready for a wild ride of insights, changes, and whatnot. So, dear educators, I have some important information for you viewers. Before we begin with today's session, there are a few things I would like to brief you about. So, number one, any query during the session can be conveyed through the meeting chat box. I repeat, through the meeting chat box. It means you have to keep yourself muted, please, so that no one gets disturbed. To have an interactive experience, you may clear your doubts by asking questions. Kindly use the virtual hand raise button and wait for your name to be called out for asking any query. So in between, suddenly you have a question, the chat box is there, or you need to raise your hand. Most of the questions are answered at the end. The participants will have the opportunity to receive certificate only after filling up the certificate and feedback form, the link for which will be shared at the end of the session. Kindly stay connected till the end of the session, please. I repeat, all of you, please mute yourself. So now it would be my honor to introduce Dr. Abdul Salam. So ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Dr. Abdul Salam. Dr. Salam is a CBSE resource person and a master trainer. He is the founder and CEO of BTAG and Extra Mile Education and Training. He has worked as the assessor of National Accreditation Board for Education and Training, Government of India. Sir, it is indeed a pleasure to have your gracious presence, and I would request you to address the gathering, please.
Thank you, Miss Deepa. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Extra Mile Education and Training. Good evening, Dr. Swaroop Datta. And thank you for offering this particular and quite new or unfamiliar topic to all the educators. definitely we are looking forward to have an insight into the Lean Six Sigma, which will add benefits to the professional individuals. Definitely, it is very important to create a culture of continuous professional learning, and which is also mandated by national education policy. In fact, there are so many guidelines and so many workshops being conducted by CBSE itself about the need to have a culture of continuous professional development, CPDs. And we are trying our best to give you the best. And we are thankful to educators, resource persons, masters trainers like Swarup Datta, who is ever ready with a new topic, fully equipped, and our all ears are open to listen to him. Thank you so much, all educators. Let's sit back and enjoy. Thank you. Over to moderator.
Thank you, Mr.
Deepa.
Abdul, for
Thank
your
you.
motivating words. So, ladies and gentlemen, amidst us, we also have Mr. Biju S. Pillai. Mr. Pillai is the co-founder of BTAG and has a vast experience in the field of education in many capacities, including being the principal of many reputed CBSE schools. Sir, we are honored to have your gracious presence amidst us. I request Mr. Biju S. Pillai to felicitate the gathering with his kind words.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, all educators, respected director of Extra Mile Education, and today's resource person, Dr. Swarup Datta sir. So, Extra Mile Education is always concentrating on the innovative ideas, innovative methods to be adopted for the best education to be provided for our new generation. So, as the society being progressing technological wise, and all innovative ideas are coming into the hands of the children, we teachers also have to cope up with the sophisticated and latest method of teaching methodologies. So we also will be getting updated, and the teaching learning process will not be getting bored inside the classroom situations. So today we have a great personality with us, Dr. Swarup Datta, who will be explaining much more about it. So I would like to hear to his great speech. So let this evening be the best for all the educators to get more knowledge about the new teaching methodologies. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Biju. So now about our speaker, Dr. Swarup Datta. Introducing today's speaker, Dr. Swarup Datta, MSc, B.Ed, BHMS, Principal of MSM English School and Junior College, Maharashtra, Master Trainer of CBSE, and CBSE City Coordinator for Buldana District, Maharashtra. Well, we are very fortunate to have a speaker with a rare storehouse of experience in diverse fields: education, research, training, medicine, manufacturing, quality, assurance, brand management, and IT. He is the mentor of several educational forums and foundations. He is the first school principal in India to become the master black belt in Lean Six Sigma quality management system, certified green belt and global career counselor. His consistent delivery of positive changes in the education industry stands as a testament to his proficiency and dedication. Some of his achievements are: he received the Young Scientist Award 2007, Star Education Award 2003 for Best Principal, Singhania Education Excellence Award, and several more, dear educators. So he is working presently with an aim to provide quality education of international standards to schools located in rural India. Recently, Dr. Swarup Datta launched his company, Best Careers Book. And now he is with us today for this wonderful session. There is so much more to talk about him. So now the Best Careers Book, which is meant to provide career counseling, consultancy, and training services, transforms schools and lives of people all around the world. Mr. Swaroop, on behalf of everyone present, we welcome you and request you to take over the proceedings for the evening.
Thank you so much, ma'am. A very good evening to Salam sir, Biju Pillai sir, coordinator ma'am, and all the educators present over here. Today we have a very different topic, which is not an usual topic in the, among the educators. When we talk about education, we normally prefer to talk about pedagogy, curriculum, the different methods of teaching, learning aids. But today it's not going to be the same. It's a very unique topic, which a very few educators know about. So today's topic, Lean Six Sigma in education. So let me share my screen with you first. I hope my screen is visible to all.
Yes, sir, it is.
Right. So the topic is empowering teachers with Lean Six Sigma and quality tools. And let me tell you, this session that I'm taking is a part of a white belt certification program where I have included something from yellow belt certification as well. And these trainings are not very cheap trainings. In fact, a 2 hours white belt training costs something around 1,000 rupees, 800 to 1,000 rupees, and yellow belt costs around 3,000 rupees. So what you're getting right now on behalf of Extra Mile is something that probably going to be a very, very beneficial tool for you. Though we are not giving a certification of white belt right now, but those who are interested to get it can get in touch after the session, and they can get a white belt as well. So let's understand first what this concept is all about. So we need to understand we are surrounded by problems. So the entire goal for everyone is where problem exists, to problem is gone. That is what we are all about. We are paid about, right? So we get paid only because we solve problems. So whoever is earning money only because they solve problems of others. And this Lean Six Sigma is why I'm talking about money so much, because Lean Six Sigma is incomplete without a focus on finance and money. I'll explain it to you how. Now understand one thing, the Six Sigma has these D-MAKE as the backbone. So define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. So any problem that you see around you, if you want to solve the problem and you want to consistently keep it solved so that it doesn't come up again one more time in the future, you need to follow this process. You need to define the problem. The problem should be measurable. You analyze the problem, you improve the conditions so that the problem is gone, and then finally you control so that the problem does not reappear. Now, when we talk about Six Sigma, Lean Six Sigma, there are different belts associated with it. The first one is called the white belt, which is normally a 2 hours to 3 hours training session, and is the first belt of Lean Six Sigma. The second one is the yellow belt. Third one is the green belt. Fourth one is the black belt. And the fifth one and the final one is the master black belt. And then we have another position, which is called a champion. And champion is normally not a belt holder, who is the executive leader who drives the initiative. For example, if in an organization like a school, someone wants to implement Lean Six Sigma, so the chairperson of that organization who planned to implement it is called the champion. And he hires the black belt or a master black belt to solve the problems. Now we need to understand some key terms when we talk about Six Sigma. These terms are specification limit, opportunity, defect, defective, rolled throughput yield, defects per million opportunity. Now, this might be Greek to many because you have never heard these terms in education. But I'll explain to you what these things are all about. And I'm pretty sure once you know about these things, you will be hungry for more. And then you will try to maybe learn more about Lean Six Sigma and implement that in your schools to get amazing results. Now, these are the tools of Lean Six Sigma. Now, you can understand that in Define, these are the tools: SIPOC, VOC or Voice of Customer, critical to quality, quality function deployment, failure modes and effect analysis, cause and effect metrics. Then we have measure, analyze, improve, and control. Now, today, we are not going to deep dive into each of these things because each of these tools may take the entire session to know how to use it and how to learn about it. But then what we are trying to do is get an overview of the thing so that in case we are interested, we can learn one or two specific tools by your own initiative. And some of the tools are not required in every Six Sigma project. That also we have to understand. So we are having these many tools, but many of them are not used in every project. And I have found that a lot of tools that are used in the other industries is not used in the education sector. That is the reason I designed a course called Lean Six Sigma in Education, which does not deal with industries or other industries. In fact, it talks only about the education sector. Now we need to understand the journey of quality. Now, when we talk about quality, the sustainable developmental goals, the fourth goal is quality education. Now, when we talk about quality education, the whole term is incomplete without understanding what quality really is. And quality is also a mindset. So my attempt in today's session will be to change your mindset from, someone who does not understand quality to who understands quality and tries to implement quality in the workspace. Now, understand one thing, we have to talk about the journey of Lean Six Sigma. It's all started in 1986. Bill Smith and Michael Harry at Motorola started the Six Sigma initiative. You must have heard about the company Motorola, which manufactures mobile phones. And it's not very early, but in 1986, towards the late part of the 20th century, then when this Six Sigma concept was rolled out. Then in 1995, Jack Welch initiated Six Sigma at General Electricals to improve the entire business system. Now, understand one thing, in 1986, hardly people knew about Six Sigma. But when Jack Welch, who is one of the top management gurus, and he was the CEO of General Electricals, the multinational giant, when he adopted Six Sigma and got amazing results, and GE really took off from where it was to great heights. That is the time when people sat up and started observing what did Jack Welch do to bring such a big transformation. And that is the time when people learned that this is something called Six Sigma. Now, in 1998, Allied Signal, another company, saved 0.5 billion with use of Six Sigma. Can you believe it? $0.5 billion, $500 million saved only by implementing Six Sigma. No new products, no rash cost cutting, but only by implementing quality. Then in 2000, GE saved $2 billion annually with the use of Six Sigma. $2 billion annually dollars. You can understand the amount of money that I'm talking about. And that is the reason everyone started looking at Six Sigma with great respect. That the profitability of an organization actually determines the well-being of everyone, starting from the employees to the end users. As the company grows financially more stable, the employees are better paid, the best brains can be roped in, the products can be improved, and most importantly, when profitability goes high up, it's a very easy game for everyone, right? And then in 2001, Motorola saved 16 billion cumulatively with the use of Six Sigma. So see, slowly from 0.5 billion to 2 billions to 16 billion dollars annually. And then when this happened in 2001, everyone started adopting Six Sigma. So you can see that it's just 23 years ago that Six Sigma gained such huge popularity. So what is Lean Six Sigma? In a competitive universal market, every organization strives for continuous improvement as its clientele is attuned to rapidity and quality. So every end user, whether it's a business product like a mobile phone, or it's a service like hospital, or it's a service like education or hospitality industry, every end user wants rapidity and quality. Rapidity in getting their problems resolved, rapidity in getting quality products, and then the quality itself is a very important parameter. So what do we understand by quality? We'll come to it. But it has a step like you design a product, you implement a product, you evaluate a product, you assess a product, and then you redesign the product. And that is the reason every, in a frequent interval, the products and services keeps getting improved. You must have seen that Apple takes out a new iPhone every year. And that is a better version of what it is from the previous year. And people flock in thousands and lakhs to buy these products. Why? Because they want something better. So imagine in a situation where you are in an organization, which is a school, which is a so-called not-for-profit organization. And with the mindset of Indians that we have today, we think that whenever we talk about money, it's something wrong. But the fact is, without talking about money, can you make your organization, a better organization? Can your package improve? Can your salaries go up? Can you give better services to the students? So I think, the intention, not only the money, but the intention and the process by which you implement all these things is very, very important. So in school, we did not have profit, but who told you that we cannot have a surplus? And surplus is a very, very important thing that we need to have. So Lean Six Sigma talks about surplus. Lean Six Sigma talks about rapidity and quality. So what is Lean Six Sigma? To realize the goal, two continuous improvement methodologies, Lean and Six Sigma, were brought together to form Lean Six Sigma. Now, let me tell you, these are pronounced together, but not the same thing. Lean is something different, Six Sigma is something different. And these two are brought in together to make it Lean Six Sigma. So you can see the symbol of Lean is, there are these three arrows on the left-hand side, and the Six Sigma is a six and a sigma sign. And together, when they are, amalgamated, it's a Lean Six Sigma sign with an arrow and the Six Sigma as well. So this is how you denote Lean Six Sigma, in a pictorial form. Lean Six Sigma is management approach to business improvement. So it's a management approach. Without the top management and the management process getting improved, results will not come. Results do not drop from thin air. To bring results, something needs to be done. So that is what we are going to talk about. What is the market potential of Six Sigma? Let me tell you, Six Sigma professionals are currently in high demand as they are adept at driving business solutions with knowledge of problem solving and a basic understanding of business. You will get an edge over others in your school and in job interviews. Let me tell you how much a Lean Six Sigma black belt normally charges if he or she is working in a corporate setup. At least 1.5 lakh rupees, at least. And that too, project-wise. It can even go higher up. And they are not permanent employees. They come for a project, complete the project, and then leave. And the reason for that is it's very difficult to retain a black belt throughout the year because they are expensive. So by doing a certification course in Lean Six Sigma, straight away you improve your market value. And when we talk about other jobs, going for other interviews, you get a clear edge over others. Because so far, whenever I have appeared for different interviews, when I was doing my Lean Six Sigma, moment people saw that on the resume, they asked what Lean Six Sigma is all about. And trust me, from there, the interview, it becomes a little flipped process. Now, the management is in the listening part and we are talking. The Lean Six Sigma professional try to explain them and they are all ears that, okay, this is something like this happens. Okay, great. So how it can improve my organization. And then the interview slowly shifts from, an interview to a planning. Now, benefits of the course certification: obtaining a Lean Six Sigma Green Belt certification will provide you to have the skill set to deploy Lean Six Sigma projects within your area of expertise. White belts and yellow belts cannot take a project straight away. They have to work under at least a green belt. And then if you have a black belt, you are better equipped. So benefits of the course certification: again, you learned DMAIC, you learn the tools and statistical techniques, and you understand what Six Sigma quality is all about. Now, this is a paper cutting of the newspaper which published my news that I'm the first principal in country to win the black belt, master black belt in Lean Six Sigma. And that is the time when I decided that I will make 100 black belts in the country, at least in the next 4 or 5 years. And I'm still in the process. Recently, we got a team certified as green belts, and very soon they will be certified black belts as well. And my organization, Best Careers Book, is certifying them as yellow, white, or green belt holders. Now, introduction to quality. Quality is defined as meeting the requirement of the customer. It's very important to understand that quality exists nowhere except in the head of the customer. Because you must have seen people using different products. Now, someone who uses a toothpaste, as simple as a toothpaste in the morning, let's say if you ask people, okay, I'm putting this question across to you. Tell me, what is the toothpaste that you use in the morning? Type it in the chat box. Let me see how many different answers come up. The toothpaste that you use in your home in the morning. Colgate, okay. Colgate, okay. Okay, it's a Colgate all the way. Any other toothpaste? Meswak, see? Meswak, Sensodyne, Himalaya, okay, Pepsodent. Now you must see that the different answers coming from different people. Dabur, Patanjali, and everyone who uses these toothpaste believes that this is the best for our family. This is best in quality. Because when we make a buying decision, we make the buying decision based on which one is the best in quality for us. So someone who uses Sensodyne will say Sensodyne is the best. Someone who uses Patanjali will say Patanjali is the best. Someone who uses Amway will say Amway is the best. So why this best concept is coming in? Because the way I as an end user perceive the product, that is best for me and I am going to buy it. That is what really matters. When customers decide that this is the best product for them, they make the buying decision. So it's very important to understand that quality does not exist anywhere else except in the mind of the customer. And when it exists in the mind of the customer, you have to understand customer expectations and you have to meet the customer expectations. Now, when we talk about customer expectations, there is one more thing that happens. The thing that happens in the background is, with certain practices that have been going on for a very long time, expectations are developed. For example, let me ask you again, which color toothpaste would you prefer? Which color toothpaste you prefer normally? And I'm pretty sure everyone will say it's a white. A very few people will say red or any other color as well, but most of them will say it's a white. Or another thing I can tell you, what about if I decide that I'll give you a toothpaste without a box? Now see, the first thing that you throw in the dustbin is the box. The moment the toothpaste you get from the shopping mall or supermarket, you get the box along with the toothpaste, you take the box, you unwrap it and throw the box in the dustbin. But then if a company is offering a toothpaste which does not have a box, you will not be satisfied. Why? Because this is called benchmarking. There is this practice going on by the big giants and everyone doing it. So what happened? It becomes a benchmark. Now, when benchmarks are there, you cannot deviate from it easily. Let's talk about some benchmarking in schools. 4 houses. Why can't school have 5 houses? Why can't school have 6 houses? Why the houses are red, yellow, blue, and green? Why not other colors? Again, it's benchmarking. So understand one thing, that we are surrounded by benchmarking, and the concept of quality that is in our brain is also because of benchmarking. And that is one of the reason this SQAF, School Quality Assessment and Assurance Framework, which has been rolled out by CBSE, is a list of benchmarking statements which the school needs to adhere to. So without the training of Lean Six Sigma, ISO, TQM, or anything else, the SQAF parameters rolled out by CBSE are simple benchmarking statements practiced by the best schools of the country and the world. And the schools are given an example in front of them how to transform their quality from what it is right now to something better. So that is the quality journey. So benchmarking is very important to understand when you try to understand quality, right? Someone is telling we have 6 houses, bluebells, right? So this is you have broken out from the convention. So when you're broken out from the convention, people look at it, in a different way. Okay, 6 houses, great. But what about 4 houses? Would have been better, or 6 houses are better? So every questions like that come to your mind, that, okay, you have 6 houses, but really, does it really work? You may say, yes, it will work. It works in our school. But when it works in your school, what about other schools? Are they ready to adopt it? So the question comes up like this: when you do something unconventional, I'm not telling unconventional is bad, unconventional and is not good quality, but then what you need to do is, in the minds of the parents, you need to establish the importance of what you have done. You can have 5 houses, you can have 6 houses, provided you ensure that your parents and the students, they accept that with open arms and they believe that this is the best thing that can happen to our school. So I'm pretty sure that's what you have done. You have ensured that this is the best thing that can happen to your school. The house system can progress with 5 or 6 houses and it's working fine. While for others, they have preferred to stick to the convention and keep 4 houses. Now let's go again to the journey of quality. Very quickly, I'll cover this. In 1930s, there was something called statistical process control. And you must have seen the old advertisement on Doordarshan, ISO certified. The statistical certified, ISI. For example, when I was a child, I used to see that advertisement of immersion water heaters and irons, and they used to say that, kya aapka product ISI certified hai? If ISI certified hai, then it's a safe product. If it's not ISI certified, then it's not a safe product. Then in 1960s, the quality circle concept was discovered, I would say, or applied. So quality circles were, for the first time in 1960s, organizations started keeping people who were not in production. They were in quality. So quality is someone who is not producing something. These are the people who are ensuring that the quality is good. Then in 1987, the ISO 9000 concept came in. So ISO 9001, 2000, ISO 9001, 2015. So all these concepts. What is 9000? ISO 9000 is the full form of ISO is International Organization for Standardization. IOS. It's actually supposed to be iOS. But why is it ISO? Because ISO talks about a very simple thing. ISO talks about quality in a different way. What it talks about, for example, I say that, I will make omelets. And I have a process of making omelets. And these omelets are going to be manufactured only with rotten eggs. So here the quality is that I will manufacture or make all my omelets with rotten eggs. I cannot use a single good egg. Then I'm deviating from my quality. So when you have someone who tells that we are ISO certified, it does not mean that they have a great product. ISO certified just means they have a consistent process. Two products will not differ from each other. But it's no guarantee that the product is good. As I said, omelette can be made from rotten eggs as well. So ISO certification is a proof that you have a process which is a very consistent process and you do not deviate from that. Then you have something called Baldrige Award criteria in the US, which was giving awards to organizations based on certain criteria. And these criteria can be something like leadership, strategic planning, measurement analysis, customer focus, business performance, and process management or HR focus. So these parameters were called Baldrige Award criteria parameters. Then we had in 1988 benchmarking, the one that I spoke about right now. It started in 1988. 1990s, it was about balanced scorecard. Balanced scorecard, we will learn about a little detail just after some time. And in 1996, there was something called process reengineering. This is where the new Lean Six Sigma journey started. It was not talking about consistency in the project or process alone. It was talking about improving the process in such a way that wastes are eliminated and end users are delighted. Now, what is process improvement? There are two things: working on the process versus working in the process. So when we talk about school, we are all working in the process. There are so many processes in the school, right? And we all work in that process. But do we really work on the process? Working on the process is trying to understand how the process can be improved, how the teaching learning process can be improved, how the admission process can be improved, how the marks allotment or tabulation process can be improved. So all these processes, when we start working on the process, then the process improves. But most of us, what happens when we are working in an environment, we prefer to work in the process, following instructions, and do not take initiative to improve the process. So the question is, how much time do we spend working on the process versus in it? Next. Now, when improvement effort starts, now you understand one thing, when this early human beings, they must have invented the wheel and offered it to be used to these people. They said, no, thanks. We are too busy. We don't want to stop and, fix this wheel and everything. It will take a lot of time. By that time, we'll drag this to the destination. But they didn't understand by fixing the wheel, the speed can improve to a great extent. So whenever we talk about implementing quality, the first thing that comes in the mind of the people is resistance. They resist because they have to do things differently. They have to deviate from the things that they have been doing for years. So when that deviation is asked from them, they refuse. They object to it. Next. So history of evolution of quality. So initially it was craft production. Each item is unique. Individual parts are made to fit, and individual craftsmen were the one who were doing it. So a Taj Mahal being built by certain artisans. After building, it said that they chopped off their hands. Now there are two stories to it. I'll not go deep into it, whether their hands were really chopped off or they were paid so much money that they never needed to work again. But it said that the hands were chopped off. That means what? To preserve the quality of individual artisans so that a duplicate cannot happen. That was what craft production was all about. And quality was something that is unique. Then came the time of the Second World War, where mass production took over, right? And high volume production was happening. Interchangeable parts were being used. And then, because it was huge production efforts, quality was done through inspection. So quality was all about checking if the product is good or not. So people used to check. And then the new thing is quality production, understanding of process variation, and quality through process. This is where we are right now. The biggest of the organizations are talking about quality by process. Now, you must be wondering why I'm talking so much about other industries, manufacturing and all these. The reason is simple. Be it whatever industry, without understanding the theory of knowledge, or process, I would say, theory of process, how a process operates, you cannot improve the system that you are in. We are all educators. We are dealing with organization called schools, and these schools can only prosper only when we understand what quality is all about. And because people do not understand quality, that there's a dip in quality in education system of India. And you must have seen that how quality is across different schools of the country. We are fortunate to be working in schools which still maintains a decent amount of quality, but how good is that good? Is it good enough? That's the question. So origin of Lean Six Sigma in 1940s, Toyota, Taichi Ohno, the executive vice president of production engineer, developed a system called Toyota Production System, and TPS is also known as Lean in USA. So Toyota Production System, how it all started, this Taichi Ohno once visited the company called Ford. They were manufacturing cars. And when they went there, they found that they are manufacturing huge number of cars on a particular day. And that was the reason the company Ford was getting a lot of profitability. Whereas in Japan, they were only manufacturing, less than 1/4 of what is being manufactured in USA. So he thought that I may, get more profitability by boosting up the production. But then when he went back to Japan, he found that the Japan market and USA market are completely different. The Japan market wants customized cars. Some want small cars, some want big cars, some want the seat in a different way. So it's very difficult to manufacture cars like Ford doing in USA, which is the same model, let's say the T model of Ford, and they're manufacturing in bulk. But then he discovered a system called Toyota Production System, where all these difficulties were rolled out and they started making profit only by implementing certain systematic changes. And this is called the Toyota Production System. And you must have seen now, where is Ford and where is Toyota? Toyota has definitely become, I would say, a bigger brand than Ford today globally, right? At the same time, in 1980s, Motorola, Bill Smith, they got the award criteria in 1988 after implementing the Six Sigma, and they implemented in Motorola and got huge profits. So again, what is the meaning of Six Sigma? So Sigma is a Greek letter used in statistical world to represent the measurement or variability. Six Sigma is a business strategy to change company culture with top management support. And you must have seen that when you talk about Six Sigma, there must be other Sigmas as well. Yes, there are. So there is something called 1 Sigma, 2 Sigma, 3 Sigma, 4 Sigma, 5. So this is mistyped as 3. Pardon me for that. So it's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So there can be different Sigma levels. So what is Sigma? Now I'm going to go into mathematics a little bit. Those who are not from mathematics background, do not get puzzled. It's a very simple calculation you need to understand. Six Sigma, which equates to 3.4 defects per million opportunities, or 99.9997% defect free. The Sigma level can be calculated based on DPMO or yield. Yield is the percentage of defect free outputs. The corresponding value on a Sigma table determines the process at which Sigma level. So what I'm talking about, a process where defective products are reduced to an extent, 3.4 defective products per million, 10 lakhs. So if you are manufacturing 10 lakh pens, only 3.4 pens can have a defect. If you are talking about, let's say, the teaching learning activity, if you teach a concept like, let's say, photosynthesis. So when we talk about a process, you're teaching learning is also a process, right? So there can be multiple errors in the process. It can be an error like you have not introduced the topic properly. You have taken more time for the activity. You did not have teaching aids. You did not clear the learning outcomes. You went too deep into the topic for that particular grade. So there can be multiple defects in the process, right? Do you agree that when you're teaching and learning, and this teaching learning process, it may have defect? No matter how good a teacher is, there can be defect. Or you're correcting the notebook. There can be defects in notebook correction. You have overlooked spellings. You have overlooked grammatical errors. You have overlooked let's say the concept has been made clear by the student or not. So all these are defects. Now, what happens? Imagine a scenario where you are making the defects to the extent only 3.4 defects per million opportunity. Opportunity means every time you do a work, it's an opportunity. So 10 lakh notebooks corrected, defect will be there only 3.4 defects. And it's not defective product, it's individual defect. So what is the difference between defect and defective? I'll come a little bit later on. But do you get this concept very clear? That 3.4 defects permitted per million opportunity. Now, key terms used in Six Sigma. So specification limit. Limits set by the customer representing the range of variation customer can tolerate or accept. I'll give examples from the any other industry as well as from the schools. So let's say a Java coffee house customer had an acceptable coffee temperature range between 160 degree Fahrenheit to 180 degree Fahrenheit. For him, a good quality coffee is, one of the parameter is, it should be of the right temperature. So when we investigate what is the right temperature, they say that, this is the right temperature, this is the right temperature, this is the right temperature. Multiple customer tells this is the right temperature. And we take a range that till which range, minimum and maximum, they say that they are okay with this temperature. And that becomes a specification limit. Now, in our schools, we can have specification limits in terms of, let's say, learning outcomes. Out of 40 children, I expect at least 35 to learn the learning outcome, and the maximum is 40. In the examination, I expect the minimum score can be 65 and the maximum can be 100. So that is when we talk about specification limits. So specification limit is very important to understand till what deviation an end user will tolerate. Because when you go beyond that limit, you are actually not satisfying the concept of quality the person has in his brain. Your quality parameter goes for a toss. So it's very important to understand what is a limit and the range in which the end user is likely to tolerate the deviation. Then what is an opportunity? Every chance for a process to deliver an output characteristic that is either right or wrong as per the customer specification. So opportunity is every time you do a work, it's an opportunity. The coffee temperature was the only output characteristic identified from the customer, which would represent one opportunity per cup of coffee. So when we talk about this opportunity, during this survey, only the temperature was checked. And the customer said, we are only concerned about the temperature of the coffee. The coffee should not be too cold. It should not be too hot. So they specified one parameter. So every cup of coffee, there is only one parameter to check. So it's an opportunity. Now let's assume they would have given a second parameter that I also am concerned about what is the size of the cup. The cup cannot be more than, let's say 300 ml and less than 100 ml. So that becomes again a second criteria. So how many opportunities per cup? Now the opportunity number will be 2, because here in one cup, they will check the temperature. They will also check the cup size. So for an individual product, there can be one or multiple opportunities. So when you check a notebook, or let's say when you're teaching or learning in a class, how many opportunities are there? There can be multiple opportunities. For example, did the lesson or was the lesson started with a proper introduction? It's an opportunity. Was the activity done? Was a teaching aid carried? So all these things, one thing that we are checking becomes an opportunity. So this is very important to understand that every time you're doing a work, one single piece of work can have multiple opportunities depending on what are the quality parameters. Then there is a defect. Every result where the opportunity is done and it deviates the limit, the lower specification limit and the upper specification limit is deviated, it becomes a defect. So when you said that we expect 60 to 100% marks in the examination, upper specification limit is 100, 60 is the lower specification limit. Anything goes beyond, less than 60 is a defect. So you end up with an unhappy end user. The parent is unhappy. My child will scored less than 60%. At the same time, if you deviate the upper specification limit, 110 out of 100, again, it's a defect, right? So specification limits should be in place to understand the quality, and you have to adhere to that. What is defective? Result when entire unit is identified as a non-conforming product, regardless of the number of defects observed. So what does it mean? Let's say I'm wearing a shirt. In my shirt, there's a button which was not stitched properly. So that button is one defect. There's a small cut in the arm of the shirt. That is a second defect. So moment a product has defect, it becomes defective. It can be one defect, it can be multiple defects. So moment it has a defect, the product becomes defective. So in the teaching learning process, if your teaching and learning has a defect, the whole process becomes defective. So you are doing defective teaching even if you have a single defect. And defect to what extent? 1 million times, no, million opportunity, 10 lakh times you take a class, you can have defect of 3.4. It sounds very hypothetical, but it is possible and it is happening. Now, roll throughput yield is just the opposite of defect. When we check how many products are defect free, we call it roll throughput yield. And then there is something called defect per million opportunity, which is how Six Sigma is denoted. That what is the DPMO of your board exam result? So when we talk about the board exam result, 100% score, 1 year. So you become Six Sigma. Is it so? No. Why? Because you're talking about only 100 students that appeared that year. You become a Six Sigma organization when we talk about 10 lakh students appearing in the board, 1 million, 10 lakh students appearing in the board exam. And out of those 10 lakh students, only 3.4 failed. Think about it. So year after year, you are giving results, 100% pass result. Then you can achieve the level of Six Sigma, right? Key terms used in Six Sigma again, DPMO, how is it calculated? Defects observed, total number of opportunities multiplied by 10 lakhs. That is how DPMO is calculated. Now again, I'll show you a table very quickly. What it means. So do you always reach the Six Sigma level? Possibly no. Many times you dip from 6 Sigma to 5 Sigma, 5 to 4 Sigma. So what is 1 Sigma? 1 Sigma is, DPMO is 6,90,000 defects in 10 lakh products. 6,90,000 defects in 10 lakhs. Then 2 Sigma, 3,08,000 defects in 10 lakhs. 3 Sigma, 66,800 defects in 10 lakhs. 4 Sigma, 6,210 defects. 5 Sigma, only 230 defects in 1 million. And what is the percentage? 30.85% are good products, 69.15% good products, and so on. And finally, when we reach the 5 Sigma, it's 99.977, which is good enough. And then 6 Sigma is 99.99966%, right? So anything above 4 Sigma is considered good. And anything below 3 Sigma, even 3 Sigma, you see, 93% is not bad, right? So it's average. In quality parameters, average, because you are ending up with 7% unhappy end users. And then 2 and 1 Sigma is obviously miserable. So components of a big business process. When we talk about a process, what it consists of? It consists of input, then you have the process, then you have the output, and you have the feedback of the customer. So it's always said that Y is equal to Fx. So output is a function of the input. You're trying to bake a cake. If your inputs are not good, your process is not proper, you do not get a good cake. You need to understand, what are the ingredients for a good cake? What is the baking time? Then only it will work, right? Similarly, when you're teaching it, students. So what are the inputs? Input is your lesson plan. Input is the preparation that you've taken. Input is the teaching aid that you're carrying to the school, class. Input is the activity that you're planning. And then how you execute the entire thing is the process. And then it ends up with the output. What is output? Learning outcomes being met. So learning outcome is not an accident. All of a sudden, it will not happen that, you are meeting the learning outcome one fine day and then it's not happening the other day. Quality cannot be subjected to chance. Quality is something for which you have carefully planned and executively implemented. Without that, quality will never come. And that is the reason everything that is good in quality comes at a price, because it takes effort, right? So it's very important to understand that output is not the end of the process as well. There is something called feedback. So in many organizations and many schools, good schools, they have this feedback mechanism after every learning outcome. The class is conducted and the Google form is shared to check, did the student, achieve what they were supposed to achieve at the end of the class. So that feedback form is very important, because based on the feedback, you can again change the input. So this is how the process works. So in key business drivers. What are the key business drivers? This is called the balance scorecard. This is one of the tools to understand quality. So first tool that I'm talking about right now is balanced scorecard. What is the balanced scorecard? It has 4 components: physical assets, internal business processes, customer satisfaction, learning and growth. How does it work? It works if you're planning to start a new school or you're planning to start a new organization. So what are the 4 things that you need to take care of? The first thing is physical asset. You need a building, you need a piece of land, you need money. So all these things have to be planned, right? But that is not enough. You need to have internal process, how you're going to implement the different processes, starting from the construction of the building to admission of the children, hiring of teachers, everything is a process. So internal business process is the second thing that you need to pay attention to. Third, though it comes third as a customer satisfaction, I would say learning and growth is again very important. So trainings, you must have seen that CBSE and NEP is talking about 50 hours of capacity building program, continuous professional development, CPD. Why? Because learning and growth is very important. And then the end user satisfaction. Now, anywhere, if you pay more attention and less attention to any of these boxes, you are going to end up with a bad product or a bad service. For example, you're paying too much attention to the physical asset only. Some schools do it, they are only building and constructing new buildings and granite flooring and this and that. They're not paying attention to the trainings. They're not paying attention to the end user choices. So these schools are not something that the parents prefer. On the other hand, some schools are busy only training their staff. They're not paying attention to the physical assets. They're not paying attention to the process. Some schools, they're only playing to the gallery. They only take feedback from the parents, and whatever the parents are telling, they do it. So to have a balanced scorecard, this is how it works. You have to have a 4-box model where the balanced scorecard is seen, and then you determine where I have to put in more effort. So this is the 4-box model: strategic objectives, measures, targets, and initiatives. So this is a vision and strategy to be kept in the middle of the 4-box model. So when you have a 4-box model, you put your organization vision and the strategy in the middle. Then you talk about the financial, internal business process, learning and growth, and customer feedback. When you pay attention to all of these 4 boxes together and ensure that none of them are too emphasized, overemphasized, or underemphasized, you end up in a proper service or product. For example, an example has been put over here. Look at this. So financial, you mean lower the cost, increase the profitability, increase revenue. So this is what you're planning. End user, lower wait time. They should wait less when they come to your school. It can be for admission or any other process. Improve customer retention, how you retain your parents. So when I say customer, it sounds it sort of hurts your ear because we are not used to this term of customer for children and parents. It's actually not fair to tell them customers, but in Lean Six Sigma, we use the customer terminology to just change the perspective. What is the perspective? That these are end users. We cannot forget that come what may, we can tell we have a Guru Shishya Parampara in India, and Guru is to be not seen as someone who is selling a product, and Shishya is not a customer. But moment you deviate your mindset from there and you think that I can do as a guru whatever I want, then you are shifting from the perspective of quality, because only when you have end users who care about the quality, you will try to maintain the quality. So your school admissions will grow only when you ensure that your end users or parents are retained. Internal process, increase in process efficiency, how efficiently you can do your entire process or different processes in the school, and how much you can lower the circle time. Thing that is getting done for a particular amount of time, how to minimize that amount of time. And then learning and growth, improve knowledge and skills of the people involved, starting from the top management to the security guard or the grade 4 staff, and improve tools and technology that are being used in the school. So with the use of different Lean Six Sigma tools and technology, we can take it to great heights. Look at this drawer. Looks familiar? Some of you may find it familiar. It's all in a mess. So what is this all about? When we talk about drawers in a mess, this is sometimes how we maintain our homes, or drawers and processes. I'm pretty sure that every time a thing went inside, it had a purpose. But then when it went inside and it is a mess right now, to find a safety pin or a James clip, you will have to bring out everything that is over there, and it is a wastage of time, right? So what is Lean? I talked about Six Sigma. Six Sigma is defect to the extent of 3.4 per million. Lean is, on the other hand, creating more value for customers with fewer resources. I'm not going to go deep into the philosophy. We are not going to have that amount of time for this right now. I'm going to just give you an overview. So in simple terms, lean is, what is the word lean meaning like? Lean means thin. Thin means someone who has got less fat. So what is fat? Fat is something that does not allow you to move, makes you ugly, and I would say stops you from functioning to your best. So this fat can be there in a process as well. Unwanted things that you do in a process is called a fat of the process. And when you cut down the unwanted things from the process becomes lean, it becomes faster, it becomes fitter, and it becomes a performing process. So every process over the time, if it is not taken care of, like we exercise to keep ourselves fit and cut down the fat of our body, every process needs to be checked periodically to cut down the fat. That is what lean is all about. So lean and Six Sigma together, it comes to Lean Six Sigma. So lean is about identifying value, removing unnecessary steps, and improving the speed. Six Sigma is a breakthrough in the process and change in the process, identifying the root cause, why a problem is there, and variation reduction. And together they become Lean Six Sigma. Now, forms of process improvement. As I said earlier, Baldrige criteria, I showed you the chart. There is something called PDCA cycle or Deming cycle. For everything that you want to do a quality check, you need to have this plan, do, check, act. PDCA. So everything that you do, you plan, you do it, you check whether it's working or not, then act again, and then replan. So this PDCA cycle is called the Deming cycle or quality cycle, which is to be used for any and every process across the globe. It can be starting from steel manufacturing to school education. So PDCA Deming cycle is very important. Then we have something called theory of constraints. We'll talk about that. There's something called total quality management, 7 quality tools, and then we have Lean and Six Sigma. So all these tools are different tools and principles of quality improvement, right? So a lean process is, you see, the process is haphazard at the top. So 1 is going to 2 over here, 2 is coming to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5. The entire movement of the particle is like, it's a Bohemian movement, I would say. And then when you change that, everything remains same. You're not increasing the cost of anything. You're not paying extra money. All you're doing is streamlining the process. The process becomes very smooth. And that gives you the result. That saves cost. So lean principles is, you define value, you have the value stream mapping, create a flow, establish a pull, and pursue perfection. So define what is value, because value definition is very important. Without defining, you do not understand what is value. For example, I would say what I define value as something for which the end user is willing to pay or wait. If the end user is not willing to pay or wait for it, it's not a value. I'll give an example in a very simple way. You have a school and the management is planning to construct a swimming pool. And this swimming pool now, they have told you that, in case we are constructing a swimming pool, the fee of the children will go up by another 2,000 rupees. Now let's check, is it a value addition? So when we go for this, we go for a process called voice of customer or a survey, and then ask a sample proportion of parents then how comfortable or how okay are they with paying additional 2,000 rupees to construct a swimming pool. Now let's say I am located in a place, a rural place, and there I'm planning to do this. My school fee is, let's say, 22,000 rupees or 24,000 rupees. Now 2,000 rupees increase is not a value addition, because parents are telling it's already a village, we are paying low fee and we do not have that paying capacity. If you're adding a swimming pool, we need a swimming pool. My child can learn swimming in the nearby pond, and we have always learned like that. So why you need to construct a swimming pool and charge 2,000 extra? On the other hand, I am a school in Mumbai or Bangalore or Thiruvananthapuram, and I say that in the school and it's constructing a swimming pool. Some parents will say, oh great, a swimming pool just for 2,000. I was already having a club membership of swimming pool for 3,000 rupees per month, and I used to take my child for that. Now I will save time. I don't need to take my child to the swimming pool at the evening or in the morning, and the school is taking care of it. Fine, I'll pay 2,000. So there, the same thing becomes a value addition. So value addition is not what you think it is a value. The value addition is always in the mind of the end user, that are they willing to pay or wait for it. If they're not willing to wait for it or pay for it, it's not a value. So a value stream mapping is you outline the entire process on a sheet of paper and check where they are willing to pay and where they are willing to wait. If they're not willing to pay or wait, cut down that process. That is how the process becomes lean. And when you cut down the fat or the process, useless part of the process, you create a flow. When you create a flow, you establish a pull. What is a pull? Pull is when your parents will flock to your school to take admission. You don't need to advertise. You don't need to convince people that take admission in my school. They will come and ask, we want admission in this school. Why? Because you have established the pull. It's not a push anymore. In market, products are sold in two ways, either through push or through pull. Good products are always used through pull. So you will see the best of the schools always struggle to give admission to children because they are full. You cannot go beyond a particular limit. So that is what is establishing pull all about. Otherwise, you have to always go for push mechanism. Please take it, we'll reduce the admission fee, we'll reduce this, reduce that. So that is why it's happening, because you have not established lean in your school. Moment you establish lean, Six Sigma, you establish a pull. And then when you establish a pull, you go for perfection. Now, this is the second tool that I'm going to talk about. 5S in Office. What is 5S in Office? It's called 5S: sort, straighten, shine, standardize, sustain. Even in Japanese, lean is a Japanese term. So this is Siri, Satan, Seiso, Seiketsu, Shitsuke. So I'm pretty sure you won't remember the Japanese term. If you want, you can remember. But remember the simple English term, right? Sort. So we had a drawer which was messy. So what we need to do is anything that we need to arrange, we need to sort out, clearly distinguish needed items from unneeded ones. So we need to eliminate things that are not needed anymore. Those exam papers which you have conducted 2 years back is still lying in your staff room locker. It's a waste. Those question papers which were published for an examination long back, it's still in your library, which is not used anymore. You can keep one paper, but the bundle is still there. So all these are wastages, right? So sort out, remove the things that you do not need. After that, you straighten, keep needed in the correct place. What is correct place? Correct place is called FIFO and LIFO. What is FIFO and LIFO? FIFO is first in, first out, and LIFO is last in, first out. So if you have certain products which has a shelf life, so you need to keep those things in the front. For example, you use chalk and duster every day, but you procured your files earlier. The files have gone into your locker, and then you're procuring chalk and duster. Chalk and duster is procured after the files, but it will be kept in the front because you are using it every day. So the chalk and duster is to be kept in the front of the locker and the file at the back of it. Things that you do not need to be pushed further back once you will use in a while. So that is how you straighten things. Things that you need urgently to be kept in front, that you do not need to be pushed. So this is how office documents are also used. For example, TC documents, CBSE circulars, all the things that you need essentially in a almirah, these are to be kept in the eye level or hand level. Anything that you need to stretch and bring are the ones should be the files which you rarely use. Maybe you'll use once in a year, once in 2 years. That is how you arrange your office furniture. Similarly, the files and folders on your computer, it has to be arranged in a way that the moment you open the drive, files which you need frequently, that should be is clearly visible. Which you need once in a while, that can go at the back end, right? So this is called straighten. Then you call shine. Keep workplace neat and clean by maintaining this thing, keeping it where it is required. And then you standardize, you make it a process, and you sustain the process. This is called the 5S of lean management. You can do it in your office and your kitchen and your house and your children's school bags. Everywhere, 5S can be implemented. So this 5S will ensure that you do not spend more time searching for a file. For example, when I've implemented Lean Six Sigma in my school, any document you name it, it will be procured within 5 minutes of telling. Earlier, we used to take it down, 10 different things we have to look. Where is the file? Where it has gone? Where is the text page? Search it. It's not required anymore. Lean Six Sigma allows you to recover a document in 5 minutes. How much time and effort is being saved? Now, types of waste. Now, when we talk about wastages that has to be reduced, we will talk about certain wastages, which is very important. So what are the wastages? In Japan, the word for wastage is called muda. Muda, right? Muda or mura. So value adding and value effort. So whatever does not add value is a waste. So something that is not adding value is called a waste. So defects versus errors, what's the difference between a defect and what is an error? Defects are the results and errors are the causes of the result. So you make an error, that is the reason the defect comes. You make an error in teaching, so that teaching becomes defective. Zero defect. The goal is to understand and get zero defect. Now we talk about Poka-yoke. Very important. What is Poka-yoke? Again, a Japanese term. Methods or devices to improve production quality and ensure consistent process result. So, you are doing certain things which I would say is error proofing. I'll give an example. I had a car which is a Maruti Alto long back. This Maruti Alto had a key which I need to use it like a normal key. Many times it happened like this, that I forgot the car key inside and locked myself outside the car. And then I had to go for a duplicate key and all these things. Now with a new car that I've got, it has a smart key. I cannot lock the car if the key is inside. So this is called error proofing. Or let's say an elevator. These days CBSE is insisting on installation of elevators in the school. How the elevators can be defect proof or Poka-yoke? Very simple. There are two forms of elevator. One where you need to pull the door, close it with your hand manually. The other is an automated one. Now what happens if you pull it manually? A person goes up, leaves the door little blank, over there, gap is there, and the lift does not come back down to the ground floor. Why? Because there's a gap in the shutting of the lift. And so many times it has happened that an apartment or something like that, a person is trying to go up, but the lift is stuck in the 7th floor, 8th floor, and it's not coming down. Poka-yoke, what it has been done? Error proofing. The lift doors will automatically close. You cannot keep it open, even if you want to, unless you press that button to keep it open. That's again a Poka-yoke. So what is a Poka-yoke that I used in my school? One of the examples I'll give you. Simple thing. In our school, we had this washroom where there was a latch to lock the washroom from outside. But think about it, why a latch is needed to lock the washroom from outside? Individual cubicles, I'm talking about. Individual cubicles. So what happens? Children playing mischievous things, they will lock their friends, and that can take a very bad shape. In one of the schools in Calcutta, I remember a child was locked in the washroom. No one noticed. 2 days passed. There was a holiday. Parents were searching the child like anything. At the end of 2 or 3 days, it was found that the child died in the washroom. A big thing happened in Calcutta, I remember that time. So think about it. Error proofing with a simple step. Don't have latches from outside. It's not required. Latches for privacy. So a child will go in, he or she can latch it from inside. So by removing a latch from the outside of the door, it's a Poka-yoke step, isn't it? So this is how you can implement Poka-yoke in your schools. There can be multiple things. As I said, when you start learning Six Sigma and Lean, you get a lot of ideas about this Poka-yoke concept. So Poka-yoke is error proofing. As I said, no latch from outside the washroom, doors of the students. Now, very quickly, we'll see a few tools. 5S, I've already described. I'm not going deep into it. Then we talk about Kanban. What is Kanban? Another tool. Kanban is a method used to regulate the flow of goods in order to eliminate waste from inventory and production. What does it mean? It means a simple thing. Example is relying on signal cards to indicate when more materials are to be ordered. So you have a place where your phenyl and acid is stored in the school. You have a place where your chalk and duster is stored in the school. So moment the chalk goes below a particular limit, a banner is put on over there, a red flag is put on over there for the admin staff to understand that this is where the chalks have gone down below the limit. I need to procure more. So that it does not come to the 11th hour that, I don't have chalk today. The chalks are all gone. Why didn't you inform earlier? So this type of communication happens when there is no planning. So moment there is a planning, you procure the things well in advance, and Kanban can be used for that, which is a signal card. Second, a Kanban is used in CWSN toilets. CBSE has issued a circular yesterday about the circular on how to, Kanban the way to the washroom, way to the elevator, and so on. So there has to be a braille on the number of the floor that the child is going to. There has to be a vocal instruction that 2nd floor, 3rd floor, all these things, right? So Kanban is a banner or a picture that shows what is the condition of the, either to order a product or where a thing is located, so that searching is not required. So Kanban is very important. Even the files that you're doing can have a Kanban. So for example, if this is a CBSE document, you put a CBSE logo in 3 shells, and you understand these 3 shells contain only CBSE documents. You put a local, government picture or a logo on one of the shelf, so everything related to the local education office is there. Anything related to sports, you put a logo of the sports on the shelf. It shows that these are all sports folders, results, and all these things can be Kanban. Then there is a concept called Kaizen. You must have heard about it. It's a very popular term. It simply means, and Toyota followed Kaizen. Kaizen is a small improvement every day. Every day you need to have a small improvement. The moment you stop improving, you are dead. That means what? By life, we mean improvement. The moment life stops improving, it's not life anymore. So to keep a process alive, to keep a process going, small improvement has to be done in the process on a regular basis, because every day it's a new day. Every day the needs are changing. Every day the requirement will change. The definition of quality will change. What was the definition of quality of a mobile phone 20 years ago is not the same today. For example, I was seeing this model of mobile called S24. S24, what is that? S24 is a new mobile with AI facility. If someone is talking to you in a different language, it automatically translates to a language that you want. It's a new feature that's coming in. And I'm pretty sure in the days to come, in another 1 or 2 years, every one of you will ask for this mobile. Because now the quality of a mobile will come with the definition that does it have AI in the mobile. Right now, we are talking about battery life and touchscreen and all these things. But very soon, the definition is going to change. So Kaizen is very important. Small improvement every day. Then there's something called Heijunka. What is Heijunka? Heijunka is, a process in which parents can be given a schedule. So for example, you fit parents' demand. Parents have certain demands, and you level a schedule. For example, teaching schedule, homework schedule, assessments given to the students in advance, so that there is no last minute rush. All of a sudden, you don't declare that, tomorrow we have an exam. It can be a surprise test, of course, but when you have different assessments or different homeworks that you're giving, it can be having a proper schedule. So when you do it with a schedule, the end user is more prepared. They will plan their leaves and vacations accordingly. When you do that, it becomes a good value addition to your school. For example, in our school, we give something called a theme letter. A theme letter is a 15-day schedule we give to the parents well in advance. We tell them what are the activities we need to do, and tell them well in advance what are the things they need to procure for the next 15 days. For example, we don't tell in the 11th hour, tomorrow bring ice cream sticks. Tomorrow bring, some cotton pad and a band-aid. We will learn first aid. It's not like that. We tell it well in advance, so that the father, after coming back from office, does not need to rush to a market and curse the school that what they do in the 11th hour, and I'm coming back home and now I have to go out to buy my son or daughter's things. So Heijunka will allow you to plan. So giving a schedule is called Heijunka. Standardized work, of course, you standardize the work. These are called SOPs. You must have heard about it. Standard operating procedure. Even for the sweeping that you do in the school, how the sweeping is done, where the waste is thrown, and how it is burned or incinerated, all comes under standardization work. And it should have a SOP. Every teacher should be having an SOP to teach a particular topic. Because when a teacher leaves, a new teacher comes in, the SOP, if it is there, the new teacher will understand how this work was done by my predecessor, right? How the previous teacher did it. So SOPs are done with the motive that the organization does not suffer when a person leaves. Because organization is not a person. Organization is built of many people, of course, but individuals leaving and affecting the performance of the organization is not desirable. So whoever you are, whether you are a principal or whether you're vice principal, anything that you do in your work is a standardized format should be there. And these are called SOPs, which has to be created, documented, and rolled out with proper signature. And if you want to make amendments to it, again, there should be a process of amending it. So when you have SOPs, now this QA is also asking for SOPs. So SOPs are very important documents. And before SOPs, you need to have planning documents. You plan what is going to be done. And then you have SOP documents. Then you have implementation documents and checklist. And finally, you can have the corrective action plans and preventive action plans. Then there is something called takt time. What is takt time? Takt time is dividing the time for how much time it takes for an individual work. For example, you are taking Viva exam. 1 hour you covered 10 students. So takt time will be 60 divided by 10, 6 minutes per student you are giving. So if you have a batch of 40 students, you understand now how much time I would require to complete my entire Viva process. So whenever you're correcting a notebook or an examination copy, examination book, notebook, paper. So what you do is you find out by correcting a few notebooks what is the tact time, and then you can tell that my entire thing will be completed in this time, and you adhere to the tact time. What is the advantage of tact time? The advantage of tact time is it gives you a clear indication how much time you will require to do a particular work. So a collection of work will take how much time. You commit your deadline accordingly, and you don't miss your deadline. When you don't miss your deadline, you are adhering to quality parameters. And then you have just in time. What is just in time? Instead of procuring things well in advance, for example, I remember a school procured, report cards printed for 3 years, and that year the HPC came in. Now all the previous report cards went for a toss, wastage. So why did they print for three years? They wanted to save on the printing cost. What resulted? Wastage of all the 3-year progress card, because now the format changed to a holistic progress card. So Japan and TPS, they use just-in-time philosophy, where they procured only that much that is required for the timing, no overproduction or no over-procuring, so that you don't need to spend a separate space for storing. Storing space, if it's eating up a lot of space, is also a wastage of the process. So I hope you understood all these tools, right? So defect tracking is, your defect can be quantitative defect, it can be a defect of kind, or it can be a defect in terms of percentage. The Gemba motto of defects is don't get it, don't make it, and don't send it. Don't send it to the end user when there is a defect. 8 wastes of lean. What are the 8 wastes of lean? Very quickly, I'll cover this. Non-utilized talents. MSc teacher teaching in the pre-primary. Wastage of talent, right? So that is not to be done. It's a wastage of talent. Waiting. You are taking the notebook for correcting the homework. You're making the children wait for 10 days or 7 days to return it back. It's a wastage. Parents are coming to the office to get a bona fide certificate. You're making them wait for half an hour. It's a waiting time. It's a wastage. So all these things will lead to customer dissatisfaction. Motion. Teacher has a class in the 2nd floor and the staff room is the ground floor. So every time the teacher comes down after her 3rd period, sits in the ground floor in the staff room, 4th place she has to go up again in the 2nd floor to take the class. It's a motion which is unwanted motion. So you need to put the teacher somewhere which is near to the floor that where she takes the class. So over motion is avoided. Then inventory. You are procuring more things that you need. I just give an example of the mark sheets or chalk boxes or anything. Then overproduction. Luckily, in our schools, because we are giving service, this concept is not there. We don't overproduce. Overproduce can never happen unless and until your principal or you are telling your staff to make lots of videos which will not be used. During the lockdown, it was happening. Make three videos every day, but 3 were not used by many schools. 1 was shown. So that is overproduction. When you're producing more than you require, it's overproduction. Defects. So when you have defects in your teaching, learning, and any process, that is to be avoided. We have been talking about that. Transportation. Transportation, again, it can be a physical transportation. It can be things like frequent emails, too many approvals, and things coming from a different location. All these things are under transportation. Too many emails is also bad transportation. In transportation, you're procuring things for the school from a distant place, and it takes a lot of time and inventory to reach your school. That's not needed. At the same time, extra processing. What is extra processing? Teaching too much. Whatever is needed to meet the learning outcome, teach too much. Extra processing, you're going into photosynthesis and then go into the deeper aspect of it, which is covered in the master's level. It's extra processing. It's not needed. So anything that you're doing in these 8 wastes, it's a waste. So mistake proofing, we have talked about. People skills, we have talked about. How does waste get there? How wastage happens? People forget to change the solution when we change the process. So some changes are made in the process, but the solutions are not changed. Fail to understand why do we do something in a certain way. So we continue doing that way even if the limitation has been removed. So why do we do it in a particular way is very clearly to be understood. Unless we do it and it has a reason, it's a wastage. So many processes exist in school because it has been going on for years. Now you can check it out. Just because it has been going on for years, it is not important that you do it for the rest of your life. You check whether it's required or not. I remember a short story. In a village, there was a place where people used to cross that part of the village by lifting their dhoti or pant till their knees. And everyone asked, what is the reason for this? Everyone said, this is no reason. This is a tradition, this is a custom. My father did it, my grandfather did it, so it has to be done. So this person was not satisfied. He went to one of the old villagers and asked, grandfather, can you tell me what is the reason people lift their dhotis and pants up to their knees when they cross this part of the village? Oh, that's a different reason. Years ago, there was a river that used to flow that direction, and when they used to cross the river, they used to pull up their, this trousers and dhotis up to the knee. But the river has now dried up. But foolish people, they continue doing it. So this is something that you need to understand. Many times the river dry up and we keep lifting the dhoti to the knee. It is to be avoided. So process change, when it is done, change your systems also. And root cause of the problem is to be checked. Some terms you need to know. Kaizen, which is continuous improvement. Small improvement at a time is called Kaizen. Small changes, don't make big changes. Small, simple changes that can be done is called a Kaizen. And continuous improvement. Then there's some called Kaikaku. Kaikaku is a radical change. So radical change, when it is done, when there's a huge need of it, then it's a radical change. Lockdown comes. You are radically changing your teaching method from offline to online. So unless there is a huge requirement of that, Kaikaku is not recommended, because big changes, when it is done suddenly, it does not obey the change management philosophy that big changes should be introduced gradually. That is the reason something like NEP or NCF takes time. 2005 NCF was being followed till 2024 or 23, I would say. The NEP that we used to follow last was 1986, and then the next NEP came in 2019. So why this long time is needed? Because whenever you're implementing change, it has to be gradual. So Kaikaku has to be a radical change, but idea is to improve it gradually. Then there's something called Genchi Genbutsu. Funny terms. Genchi Genbutsu, what is the meaning of that? Go and see it yourself. Some of the principals do not prefer to take rounds. Sitting in their chair, they prefer to keep an eye on the school by looking at the CCTV cameras or take feedback from coordinators. Genchi Genbutsu tells that a leader or someone who is inspector or a coordinator or a supervisor or an in charge, anyone you may be in a school, or a teacher with some SPOC, single point of contact, you need to be there in the location to check what is happening. Unless you go to the location, you will never find out what is going wrong. So Genchi Genbutsu is a tool which says, be there to know it. What is Gemba? Gemba is the place where it actually happens. So when you talk about classrooms, your classroom is a Gemba. When you talk about the corridor, corridor is a Gemba. Your sports field is a Gemba. So in Gemba, you need to go for Genchi Genbutsu. As a class teacher, you need to go to the sports field to check that how your children are doing in sports, because you're going to give feedback to the parents that how their children are performing. Just by listening to the sports teacher, you cannot do it, right? Motainai means, in Japanese, they say, oh, what a waste. So whenever you see wastage anywhere, you can use this term, motainai. People are doing things that is not required, excessive motion, overproduction, overprocessing, motainai. So a wastage, a simple thing is being able to see it, and then you need to remove it. So what is lean? I have already spoken about it. Lean production Toyota system, I've spoken about it. And there are three defects that we normally talk about. It's called Muri, Mura, and Muda. Muri is stress in the system. Inconsistency is Mura, and waste is Muda. So types of value stream map: value added, non-value added, and required non-value add. What is that? As I said, value addition is something that the parents are willing to pay and wait for. Non-value add, parents are not willing to pay and wait for. Now I have a simple question for you. The question is, if you talk about taking attendance, let me check what is it. So the language you used, I think you have learned it. Yes, this language you have to learn. When you practice Six Sigma, Lean Six Sigma, you have to learn this language because it's used as a common Six Sigma tool. But then I was talking about non-value addition. So I'll ask you a question. Attendance taking every day. You tell me now, is it a value addition or a non-value addition? Think about it. Are the parents willing to wait and pay for it? So is it a value add or a non-value add? So if it's a value add, write VA. Non-value add, write NVA. Let's see what you think. Attendance in the morning that is being captured. So somebody is telling value addition. NVA. Sumi is telling NVA. VA. Now let me tell you, are the parents willing to pay additional fee that you take attendance? that yes, I know I pay 200 rupees per month extra for attendance. They don't want to, right? They say it's a part of the school and they're not going to wait for it. If you take 15 minutes for the attendance, they're not going to wait for it. But then you cannot remove it as well because it is involved with the safety of the children. They will not willing to wait for it. More time is not to be given. Neither they will pay for it, but it's something that you cannot remove. So these are called required non-value add. So there are a lot of things that are required. It is not a value add, but still you have to continue it. Just like I said in the beginning, the carton of the toothpaste, required non-value add. It does not add anything to the product, but when you remove it, people will not buy it. So carton of the toothpaste, attendance taking in the morning, all these things are required non-value add. So benefit of the customer, organization or the school, you have proven systemic problem solving method, focus on the end user, achieve long-term improvements. Now we will show you a few tools in a very quick manner, right? So this is something called scatter diagram, which is used in Lean Six Sigma. Scatter diagram is plotting two variants on the X and Y axis. When you have a picture like this, the first one, the second one, and the third one, what does it mean? This one is a positive correlation, strong positive correlation, slowly increasing from left to right. So when you have two variants, for example, teaching time and the marks obtained in the examination, it's related to each other, you have a very positive correlation. Then there can be something like this. This is a moderately negative reaction. Why? Right to left, slowly it's coming down. Then there is this one, which is called non-related. And then this one is, strong. It's not non-linear relation. Non-linear means what? It's not in relation to each other in a particular way. For example, if the input is increased, the output automatically does not improve. It will vary. So scatter plotting or scatter diagram is one tool that can be used in schools to a great extent to understand how two variants can affect each other, and based on that we can decide to change our inputs so that we get the desired output. So visualization tool called Pareto charts. In Pareto charts, it's all about 80-20 rule. You give 80% effort, 20% effort to get 80% result. For example, if you see, these are the number of defects in a particular product. And the first one is 52% defect contribution and second one is 31. So just by removing and correcting the first two, you can get a 80% result. So Pareto chart, how you construct it is again taught in the green belt level. But a simple thing is, by making a Pareto chart, you can understand how I can give a minimum effort to get maximum result. Next, this is called process cause and effect matrix. In cause and effect matrix, when you have got input parameters, like on the left hand side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and on the right hand side, A, B, C, D, E. So A, B, C, D is output parameter. Left side is input parameter. And these boxes you're filling with numbers which are correlations. 3 is a weak correlation, 6 is a moderate correlation, 9 is a strong correlation, blank is no correlation, 2 is even a weak correlation. So when you plot your input parameters against your output parameters and you check what is the result, for example, what you do, number 1, for example, let's say one of the parameter is use of teaching aids or learning aids. Second one, let's say, again, it's an activity that is being conducted. And output parameter is the learning outcome is learned by the children. Number 2, they're able to complete their projects properly. Number 3, their scores in the exam improve, and so on. So what we do, the first one, using of teaching aids. Is it related to, the learning outcome? You say, yes, it's related. Though it's not the real example, it actually should have been 9 over here because it's very strongly related. But just to give an example, I'm telling, let's say it's a weak correlation and we're putting 3. Similarly, for all the parameters output, how is this teaching aid going to affect? It is related or not related? Then what you do, you multiply 3 into 4, 1 into 1, 1 into 0 rather, 7 into 6, 10 into 9, and 5 into 0. You add up all these things, 3 4s are 12, 7 6 are 42, 10 9s are 90. So 90 plus 42 plus 12 is 144. So this is how you get the result. Now, what is the use of this result? The use of this result is you'll calculate all these things and you take out a total, and you will see this 144 is what percentage of this 416, and you put a percent over here. So when you see this, you clearly understand what are the inputs that you need to vary, or it will affect the output parameter immensely. So when you know that an input parameter is going to affect the output parameter immensely, you take care of that input parameter and do it properly. This is called a fishbone diagram. It's a very important thing. It's called cause and effect diagram as well, which is you have a problem and then you try to understand the root cause of the problem. The root cause can be in the method, it can be in the man, it can be in the management, it can be in the measurement, it can be in the material, or it can be in the machine. So based on this, you can decide that what is the root cause and eliminate the root cause to get the solution. For example, cause and effect diagram, performance dip of the students. So when it's a performance dip, let's say in the manpower, the teachers, training skills, knowledge, self-sufficiency. It can be a problem with the manpower schedule also, timetable and lesson planning. It can be a machine problem like AV boards, teaching learning aids, preparation of the teacher usage, and things like this. So when you plot all these things on a fishbone diagram, you try to understand by brainstorming which is the most probable root cause. When you remove the root cause, your problem is solved. Then there is something called 5 why technique. When you try to understand what is the reason, you ask why 5 times. This is called a 5 why technique. For example, problem cannot reach out parents on call or delivery of letters to incorrect address. You cannot reaching out to parents. Why? So 5 why, see how it works. Incomplete previous address contact number. Why? Because the complete updated address or contact numbers were not collected from the parents. Why? Because the address and the contact numbers were given to the office staff during admission, and after that the parents moved away to a new address. Why? Because the office staff were unable to gauge if the address or contact number were old or updated ones. Why? Because an official format for capturing an updated address or contact number from parents was unavailable. So when we reach to this why, we now understand what we need to do. We need to have an updated contact system capturing tool. That is what the solution is. So this is how, for any and every problem, a 5 why analysis will help. Airline flight. Now we come to the end of this session. Very quickly, I'll show you what exactly is the effect of Six Sigma. In airlines and flights, it follows Six Sigma. Do you know why? Because every time a flight takes off and lands, if they do not follow Six Sigma, there will be multiple defects. And one defect means loss of lives. So plane, you will not be assumed, you will not be amused if you say, someone says, we are Indigo flight and accidents happen only in 10,000 flights, one flight meets with an accident. What? 10,000 flight, one meets an accident. You're not happy with it, right? But when they say out of 1 million flight takeoffs, 3.4 defect, 10 lakh times defect is less than that, then you are assured. I'll show you more about it. So in airport, luggage is not Six Sigma. The flight takeoff and landing is Six Sigma. So during landing, the flight does not crash, or this does not happen often because they follow the Six Sigma method. But luggage is not Six Sigma. So what happens? Many times you end up with luggage lost. And that is the reason when you go for flight, they have this process of insurance of the luggage, first check-in and express checking and all these things. So that they know, because it's not Six Sigma. Or the seating arrangement is not Six Sigma in planes. Only the takeoff and landing is. So your flight is the safest mode of transport, but you are not having Six Sigma in other modes. So DMAIC, I already spoke about it. Now let's see what are the companies which use. Any company, GE, Dell, Sony, Accenture, Samsung, Wipro, you name it, they have it. All the organizations use Lean Six Sigma. Why? Because it gives them a result. Guess what? Mumbai Dabbawalas, they created history by going for Six Sigma. In Mumbai, there are thousands of 4 lakh transactions every day happen in Mumbai. These Dabbawalas send dabbas to offices. And if you order a paneer and a pulao, very rarely you will get a chapati and something else. You will get your desired thing only with the 4 lakh orders. Hardly it get misplaced. Why? They follow Six Sigma process. Why I'm telling this? Because it can be implemented in a Dabbawala system. Why not in a school? Next, what happens in 3, 4, and 5 Sigmas? Very quickly we'll see. If it's a 3 Sigma process, it means 1,33,600 lost letters per hour in post office. 33,400 incorrect surgical operations per week. Think about it. You're going to a hospital which says, we have only 33,400 failed operations in a week, not more than that. You're not happy with that, right? How can they tell like that? So it's 3 sigma. 13 short or long landings at most airports each day. So 13 wrong landings. On 4 sigma level, it's 12,420 letters. In 5 sigma level, it's only 466 letters per hour. And if it's a 6 sigma, 6.8 lost letters per hour out of all the letters. Or in operation, 1.7 incorrect surgical operations per week, which is acceptable, right? So this is how Six Sigma improves. If it's not a Six Sigma process, you have full of defects and errors, which brings down the quality, and unhappy customers, angry customers, irate parents, and your school life becomes miserable. Just by giving quality to the parents, you can drive quality and make end users very, very happy. Now, as a quality person, when you learn Six Sigma, what happens? When you see the glass, a pessimist will say the glass is half empty. An optimist will say the glass is half full. A realist will say the glass is full with water and air. But a Six Sigma person will say the glass is bigger than you need it. Why you took such a big glass when you needed to fill only this much water? So you will be able to see wastage everywhere. The Muri, Muda, Mura, and all these functions you will be able to understand. 5S you will understand. More you practice, your office becomes clutter-free. Your process becomes cleaner. Your speed improves, and then your profitability goes high up, and your process becomes more satisfying. What are the processes that in which you can implement in a school? Teaching learning process, admission process, assessment, evaluation, result generation, fees collection, salary disbursement, interview and hiring process, teacher employee retention process, and so on. Appraisal of the teacher is also a process, right? And finally, the last slide, reduction of waste and eliminate defects, eliminate costs that don't add any value to the students. So when you save cost, you can ask for a hike in salary, that I saved so much cost for the organization, can I expect a better salary this time? Well-defined job roles and KPIs. You don't clash in the job roles with one another. So job roles are defined, key performance indicators are defined, your work becomes a pleasure. Smooth flow of work, no rework and no useless work. So you avoid doing things that is not having any meaning, and repetition of work is not done. So you have a better work-life balance. Then you have a participative culture. 20% effort will give you 80% result. You end up working smart. You get more job satisfaction. You get away from monotony. Less variation among teachers. So parents will be very happy that the child is whether in A section or B section or C section, does not matter. All teachers are delivering equally. Continual improvement using data and technology. So Lean Six Sigma, though I gave an overview to you, each of these tools are statistical tools like Pareto analysis, scatter plotting. You need to learn these tools, how to frame it. It's not very difficult. You can easily learn it. And when you use it in the school, you get amazing results. You can even advise your management where to invest the money and where not to invest the money. Then students and parents delight. It's not only satisfaction, it ends up in delight. When you get more than you expected, that is what delight is. And more admissions, you grow along with the organization. So with that, we come to the end of the session. You can become quality conscious educators, introduce Lean Six Sigma in your school. If you want, go for Lean Six Sigma certification, white belt, yellow belt, green belt, and you can make your school a Lean Six Sigma compliant school. Think about it. If Motorola, GE, Toyota, and all big companies, they have become so huge because of implementation of Lean Six Sigma, why we educators are away from it? Just by understanding it, the quality parameters. Yes, what will be needed? We cannot have the same set of people teaching and driving Lean Six Sigma. But to start with, we can start the process. The teachers can become Lean Six Sigma practitioners. And let me tell you what, this again will open up new avenues for you for extra income. Not only in school, when you know Six Sigma, you can approach your nearest hospital. You can approach your nearest factory and tell, I am a Lean Six Sigma practitioner. I'll streamline the process for you. And this is what is my fees. So with that, we come to the end of the session. I would request coordinator ma'am to take over. I understand that I have been able to cover many tools, but it was an overview, how to use the tool. For that, details are needed. And for each tool, it requires at least 1 or 2 hours. So we do not have that amount of time. But I gave you a very clear overview of what Lean Six Sigma is all about. And I hope you now at least know what is Lean, what is Six Sigma, what is ISO, what is TQM, and other quality names. So thank you, ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Swaroop, for throwing light on quality management through Six Sigma. It was very detailed and very informative, and your session has added intellectual pursuits to our esteemed participants. All of them were excited to hear that. So, however, now it's time for question answer session. If anyone has any question, please raise your hand, or you can type your question in the chat box so that our speaker can answer you.
I think it requires, a second sitting to understand elaborately.
Yes.
So for a comprehensive, understanding, idea, we need to revisit the session so that there will be questions, definitely. And Anita Patil, madam, has raised her hand.
Yes, ma'am. You can unmute yourself and ask the question.
Yes. If certificate and this one, how we will get, ma'am? Regarding that, we will fill up the form. Then after that, what we have to do?
No, it will come to your mail. You please keep checking your spam mail also.
Okay. Then it is okay. We have to write the transaction ID in that mail whenever we are filling that form.
Yeah, whatever details are required, you please fill up properly, correctly, and keep checking your spam mail. That's all. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Deepa ma'am, let's wind up.
Yeah, that brings us to the end of the informative session today. So participants, kindly note that the link for certificate and feedback form has been already posted. So you are requested to fill up the form correctly with all the details and submit it. And now I would dive into the word of thanks. So I, Deepa DS, along with the Extra Mile Education and Training, would like to thank Dr. Abdul Salam for his boundless support and guidance. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Viju, for your presence. Thank you, Dr. Swaroop, for the splendid session. And thank you, dear participants, for the enthusiasm and patience, and wish you all the best to walk the extra mile in your educational journey. Over to Dr. Abdul Salam now.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Deepa. Thank you for your help. And a huge applause, round of applause to Dr. Swaroop Datta. As usual, you have, rocked the platform. Thank you so much. But we understand that it is not elaborate because the subject is so deep and, it requires days to understand. And but in a nutshell, we can understand that it speaks all about quality enhancement. And definitely, as professionals, if not, we have to rise to professionals. It is going to help us in our career, and you are going to, extend your service to the organization you are working or elsewhere. Definitely, when we empower ourselves with the Sigma and the attached tools, it is going to add advance to our career. So much to learn. And as I said, revisiting is required because lots of terms are there to understand and implement. So this video will be available on our website and on YouTube channel as well. So you can revisit and you can definitely please try so that we become, very much professionals and we contribute a great lot to the organization we work, make it a Six Sigma institution. Thank you so much, Doctor, once again. Thank you so much, all participants, for your, patience and time you have spent on this wonderful learning. A lot of learning has taken place and so much to learn as well. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Deepa ma'am, once again. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.